Hello, folks, and we are now here for another social race in ACC. Today, we're going to be racing in the Porsche 9, I think the 991 GT3 Cup car around Nürburgring. A wonderful circuit. It's one of my most favorite circuits on the entire calendar. Very flowing circuit with a lot of medium and high speed corners. I don't think it. I think there are only two or three real low speed corners, with all the other corners being extremely well flowing high speed and medium speed corners. We're going to see a lot of good racing and narrow track. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a bit of argy bargy. Our races are already in free practice right now. We will be going into qualifying in a little bit, but in the meantime, let's head over to the race. Let's see what kind of times our racers have done in the qualifying session, in the free practice session. All right, as we can see, we're right now on board with Amit Kuti, who has done a uh, 57 mid. We don't know the fuel loads right now, so that is gonna be a little bit of like we're not exactly sure what fuel loads everyone is running right now, and that does mean that there is some confusion regarding how representative these lap times are. But as far as I've seen it in the server, they have been online for quite a long time. He has been on this scene for quite a long time, so I presume his lap times are right now on a race session as you can see 58.0. Nürburgring is right now P1 with the 56.9. It'll be interesting to see how they improve through the session. Akbar Kumar with the I'm not able to sure, but if you can open it up with the 58.1, and Aurora with the 58.7. Shubham Das with 59, Sidhu with the 59, and a lot of folks with the 2 minutes. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what kind of times they do in qualifying. We don't know the fuel loads right now, so that's going to be definitely something to watch. We will be entering qualifying in a couple of minutes. Alright, let's have a look. As you can see, the Nürburgring is sitting in the pits, waiting to pounce on them. We have Supreme Leader, who has a massive spin coming into the final chicane at Nürburgring. Let me just load up the handle a track map on my right side here so that I don't get caught out. I want to first give the best of what's possible. Alright, I should have it open over here. Alright, so he Aladdin spun in the NGK chicane as it's called. Not people to Violent Gandhi, who is parking his car. New face over here, R. Beniwal, he seems quite a bit off, like he's 12 seconds off the pace, but probably just couldn't get a proper lap in. Sidhu right now on the tail of number 74. Beniwal right now, very nice livery from Sidhu over here, very nice design with the Indian touch over there. Let's have a look. We will be entering quali in a couple more minutes. 3 minutes to go for qualifying. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think that we have Murakala who's joining the fray now. I don't think the server is configured for rain. Like the chance of rain is pretty low, but you never know. It's Nürburgring. It can throw whatever it wants at us. Let's try to find Shubham Das who's in the circuit. One of the most consistent and one of the more experienced drivers in the field. As you can see, he is rounding out the, I believe that was the Vosner curve. Yep, and now heading into the back straight, flat out in these cars for sure. And now coming on to the final NGK chicane. Let's see how he takes it. Let's go on board him. Car is like really over-rotating. I mean, a lot of these drivers don't usually drive Porsches in their regular racing, and so I guess they are a bit of like still getting their heads around this particular car. You can see a number 22 car. I think that's S. Devani who has decided to. I think he's parked there to reverse to the track. I am not sure. As you can see, Kapil Bharat once again on a lap. Coming through the Mercedes arena, always a very tricky section. The track limits are especially tricky here, especially on this exit. It takes quite a lot of time to exactly find out the limit where you can maximize the track limit without completely compromising your exit over there. Yep. Let me just put up some things. All right. Ooh, as Das has a spin and goes into the wall on the, I don't think that counted as a name, but that's turn 5. Amit Kuti right now on a lap, and we will be starting the server in a couple of minutes, and let's discuss the session before we go more forward, shall we? All right, and now all right, and right now I think, as far as I can see from the time, I think I'm going to bet Doublish Singh for pole. He's been really showing his speed right now in the circuit. And oh, we have another person joining. We have Rocker joining the server. He is running the number 3 Porsche, and of course, all of them are Porsches. So it's going to be interesting to see how this session evolves. But anyway, we should be going forward in a couple of minutes, and we should be able to see what they can do. All right, looks like we are going to go forward into the session right now. In the meantime, let me move back into the game. All right. It's interestingly nobody's times are there right now. Huh. That's very strange. I cannot seem to see anybody's time. Oh, yeah, qualifying has started right now. That's why I was really confused there for a second, as we have now entered qualifying, and we right now have Amit Kuti, who is on his out lap. He's left way earlier than the others. We have all the cars right now leaving. A few cars still in the pit lane. I think we're going to be having. I think we're going to be having quite a lot of cars soon leaving the pit. All the cars are on track, and but of course, I think Amit Kuti left early to get a clean track ahead of him. Yep. Now, without further ado, let's have a look. Alright then, let's go on board Amit Kuti for his first hot lap of the day. It's just 10 minutes of qualifying, which is really not sufficient to really like maximize your lap times. I think I'm pretty sure a lot of drivers would love a bit more time, but with 10 minutes qualifying, every lap you set, hooking up your lap with such a limited time becomes ever the more important. You can see Gyan, Byron Gandhi and Devani opting the pits. Maybe they're not planning to qualify, perhaps start from the back, capitalize on the carnage behind them. As you can see, Amit Kuti goes really wide on the exit, but I think gets pretty good traction coming through into the Mercedes arena, trying to really maximize track limit. Leaves a bit of few tenths in here and there. How much is he going to cut that inside curve there? Leaves it pretty conservative. Let's have a look. Does not really cut the track as I have seen a lot of other guys. But right now, going quite wide there. He doesn't seem to invalidate his lap, which is good news for him. Now coming into the turn 5, unfortunately, this track does not have all the track corners named, but we'll take it. He's coming up into the number 69 Porsche driven by Supreme Admiral General Aladdin. Hopefully he does give way. Now coming into the hairpin. A very tricky corner always, both under braking and the exit, but especially because of how cambered it is, it does seem like a very slow corner, but I can tell you in real life it is actually a very quick corner. The minimum cornering speeds are very high due to the camber. As you can see, Myth really pushing the limits on the Schumacher S. It'll be a bit on the edge right now since his tire pressures wouldn't right now be up to scratch right now. Really gets his rear completely out of shape, out into the Wassenaar curve. Now coming onto the back straight, easy flat. I think some categories it is not easy flat. I think I'm not 100% sure. I think some road cars it's a bit difficult. Now coming into the NTK chicane, is he going to send it over the curbs? Does not. He does send it through the exit curb. That was very close to invalidation. Now coming through the final corner of turn 15. Very important to get good traction out of here. Always a tricky. It's a bit off camber, which really does make it quite tricky. Now crossing the line, what is that time? 57.7. For reference, of fastest time in free practice was a 56.9. So now Dvajin now crossing the line. Quickly followed behind by the Porsche or Deepak. What time is Dvajin going to do? Let's find out. Now crossing the line. What time does he do? He does a 2-minute 1-1. Now Deepak crossing the line. Who does a 2-minute 1-0? So very narrow margins between the two drivers. Shock has seems to have had an invalidated lap. Vyran Gandhi now leaving the pits. Akbar Kumar crossed the line quite a bit. Doublish Singh goes 7/10 faster with a 57.0. A very good time from the man. He's going to be an interesting one to watch once the season does start. Right, let's have a look at Amit Kudi. The thing right now, I think he will be focusing on trying to set a better lap this time, and does go on board. Coming into the left-hander of turn 5, really on the edge there. Really like losing quite a lot of steering over there. I can physically hear his tires clubbing quite a lot now, and now coming into the hairpin. How is he going to take it? Let's have a look. Braking really late, and a lot of mid-corner turning, getting on power, really squaring off the corner compared to a lot of other drivers. Coming to the Schumacher S, that's a lot of steering lock for that corner. So very interesting style. I think very Alonso-esque the way he is driving this particular car right now. Now coming into the Wassenaar curve. He's going to get a really nice slipstream from the other Porsche of Akbar Kumar right now, who is a bit, as we say that, Amit Kudi has improved to 56.4. So he has now, I wonder what's going on in WH's mind right now. It seems like Amit in the last minute unleashed some pace he was hiding. So as I was talking free practice, we did suspect that Amit was on a higher fuel load, and that does seem to be the case, as Amit has just now gone 5/10 faster. But now coming to the last corner, can WH nail it with that black Porsche livery? Does it look really good? And now crossing the line, what time does he do? Gets in the gravel. That's not going to help. Nope, he did hit a bad lap, and that's a 2-minute on time. Now Vyran Gandhi now starting the lap. Let's see how he goes into turn 1. Really leaving a lot of space on the outside of the corner. Very conservative rather, I must say, really not pushing the car a lot. And now coming into the Mercedes arena. Really trying to take it conservative, trying to not really make any mistakes, but too conservative to a fault. And we can see the number 2 Porsche Aurora is behind him. So Aurora is probably going to be a bit worried about this. Is going to be a bit worried he's going to impede his lap if he's on a fast lap. We can see the WHing has returned to the pits. I don't think he really has enough time to heat up that tires, but he is leaving the pits right now. Let's have a look at Kapil Bharat right now. Kapil Bharat now coming into turn 5, going to the left. Seems to be picking up the car a little bit right now. But let's see. what time he does. He's really rotating the car quite nicely on entry. I must say, like he's been one of the more people who I've seen like who's really leaning into the characteristics of the Porsche. I do know that he does do quite. He has driven this car before, which is definitely going to be something that is going to be helping him. Now coming out into the Schumacher S, misses that apex a little bit. Had to back out, had to, I think, come off the road a little bit through the Schumacher S, which does really hinder him. Now coming into the Wassenaar curve, it's so easy to overcook that corner. I cannot understate, and he didn't validate his lap. It's so easy to overcook this corner. It's just so difficult to find the exact limit of braking there, and of course turning into the corner in time. Shubham Das are one of the few figures who have not so far set a lap time, so he's going to be one to watch. But let's have a look. I'm not sure if he is on a lap. Now let's have a look. Through the Schumacher as really attacking that curve, using the rotation of the Porsche to his advantage. And let's go on board and let's see how he differs from the driving style that we saw on board the WH thing. Right now, as you can see, using significantly less steering angle. I think definitely saw slightly very nearly full lock, as you can see now. Coming onto the off the Wassenaar curve, onto the flat out straight. Let's see what he can do. Now coming on to the NGK chicane. Let's see how he's gonna take it. A bit conservative with the curves, but not too bad. Now coming into the final chicane, so the final curve. What time is he gonna set? Now leaves a bit on the left. Leaves quite a lot on the table on the exit there. But now he goes P4, a very good flying lap. Now and he will have one more lap to finish to set in qualifying. Cote deciding to not leave the pits. In the meantime, we have Rocker, who I think is parking his car and will not be taking part in qualifying. Devane right now with recent time 2:16. He's in there with the mid pack right now. You can see he is right behind Benoit, who does not. As Devane goes into the grass. I'm not sure if Benoit is improving, but he is quite a bit off. But it'll be interesting to see if he can improve. Let's go on board. Oh, as Aurora returns into the pits, I don't think not many people left to finish the session right now. Let's have a look. Mulakala right now on his final run. I am not sure if he made it in time, but if he did, I don't think he has finished his lap right now. Shubham Das, I think, let's see, he's on a final flare. You can see a lot of cars bunched up in the final, into the Schumacher S, as we see the number 16 Porsche of Mulakala. Oh, he's parked. He did finish his lap and he's parked and is returning to the garage. Now, as Shubham Das once again going through the Schumacher S, can he steal that P3 from Aurora in this final lap? He definitely has that time on the table. And now coming into the Wassenaar curve, I think he may have invalidated no, but that was very aggressive attacking. As he like gets the car turned in and such an aggressive angle onto the back straight. Not sure if that's the fastest way to do so, but let's see. He doesn't keep pushing, so perhaps he has the time left on the table. Now coming through the NGK chicane, how is he going to take it? Right now, attacks that curb this time, leaves a bit on the exit curb. Now right on the edge of that exit over there, he is really sending it into this final lap. Now coming into the chicane, gets his rear end completely out of shape there, but crossing the line, what time does he set? He decides to back out. Yep. That was a very high energy qualifying over there. All right, looks like we have now entered the race. There is a 5-minute break to the start. As you can see, everyone is really nicely jacked up right now for the race start. So So who do you think is going to lead out of turn two? So I don't know how many of you are paying attention right now, but whoever is on chat, what do you think is going to happen into turn one? Do you think one of the guys like the do you think somebody would be right now looking into sending it into turn two, especially Devlish? He'd want to lead out of turn two. So do you think and given that he's on the outside, but do you think he's going to switch into the inside and try to send one on Kuti? So drop in your predictions. I did mention this in qualifying, but that is a very beautiful livery by Sidhu. I have to admit, like that, a very nice touch. I would like to call it the Indian Pepsi livery, is what I feel. Yep. Anyway, turn one at Nürburgring, very wide on exit. If you guys remember in the Formula One race, we had everyone basically like run wide there. I think, but that was also because there was no temperature in the tires. But generally in ACC, what we see is that a lot of people generally take a really wide line on the exit of turn one, uh, because to have that margin of not colliding with anyone. And I'm not sure. Like also, it's very difficult to see the braking markers in the turn one with all the cars around you. So hopefully, people are able to keep it clean today. All right, as you can see, everyone is really jacked up. Nobody wants to lose those ever important tire pressures. Abidi uh, is right now not jacked up, so I think he's going to be starting with really cold tires, and the same applies to acing as well. So I better tell these guys. Let's drop in a chat. Uh, Yep, just hopefully they do see my message, and we'll open the setup screen just before entering the session. Otherwise, they're going to be having a very cold tire, and hopefully they don't take half the field out in that collision. Worst case. So I have received a big tag. All right. In the meantime, we will be having 8 cylinders or Siddharth Govindarajan joining us in comms, I believe, in a couple of minutes. So let's see when they show up. As we have Ninja, who's Sarthak Gray, who's joined in the server, along with a few fellow racers who are in the server right now. 53 seconds to race start. Gonna be interesting. The wait is to the session start is very unnerving. I'm sure a lot of drivers are right now wondering about how are they going to attack into that first chicane. Oh, sorry, first corner. I can imagine someone's going to dive it for sure. It always happens at Nürburgring. I think in our league race we had a big incident where Dwajan ended up outbraking himself and took out, I think, 6-7 cars.
20 seconds.
Yep, we have 20 seconds to restart. Let me try to get that in. Apologize for any water movement sounds. Alright, looks like we will be having a restart. We should be seeing Amit Kuti pull off the race line any second. As you can see, Davlish Singh have his lights on already. Looks like he's planning to flash his lights a bit before we get to the finish line. Everyone is off. We should be off for the restart in a few minutes' time. Right. restarting. Kuti maintaining to the pace car delta right now. In a couple of minutes, as he crosses the finish line, we should be starting. The race should be starting in any second. And we have green lights, and away we go. Double Singh seems to have gotten a better reaction. He is surging onto the lead right now. Will he be able to go around the outside of turn 1? It'll be interesting. You can see different, as we can see. Ooh, as we see the Porsche, not Porsche, I think that is Shock or Shubham Das trying to send on the inside. Myth maintains his lead through that particular corner. Can he maintain it though? As we have carnage at turn 1, as we can see, Aditya Singh seems to have had an incident, and a lot of guys seems to definitely lost out over there. Now let's go back onto the front, as we can see. Ooh, W Singh right on the tail of Amit Kuti over there. Arora and Shubham Das seems to have dropped up, but still within touch of each other. Akbar Kumar, that was Akbar Kumar, I think, who tried to go around the inside, but he seems to have lost a few places as well during that incident. And right now, but W Singh right on the tail of Amit Kuti over here. Looks like we're going to be having a fight today, folks, as W Singh is really close to Amit on that entry. He's really pushing that car, trying to like apply that early pressure on Amit Kuti over here. As Supreme Admiral General Aladdin has already gotten a penalty, and I think we are joined by 8 cylinders here. 8 cylinders, could you speak up as your audio is a bit faint?
Hopefully I haven't missed too much.
Yep, let me see. I'll also boost your volume on my end. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yep, perfect. Yep. So far we've been having a very interesting race qualifying. Amit did out qualify Davlesh by 5/10 of a second, and right now Davlesh is sticking right on the tail of Amit Kuti right now.
Haven't really split these two in P1 and P2 right now. They seem to be literally within a breath away from each other right now.
Yep, absolutely, and I'm not really sure.
Yes. On the rear bumper there.
It looks like we jinxed him as he does get a movement, and I think W is going to be trying to send one on the inside of Amit Kuti. Amit defending that inside over there.
You do have to be careful with these cup cars, especially coming out of turn 1. You know, the adrenaline just sets on you so quickly, and then you give it a little too much throttle. But it seems like he's defended his position well there.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, and I think WH will now have insight for the Mercedes Arena right now, and he should be able to get this position there. Oh, Amit really putting a tight squeeze. I haven't really seen Amit really like race so aggressively with many drivers, and it's really interesting to see right now. But WH does get that position right now.
To see so much participation for a social event, it really does show that ACC is picking up in the community, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. And I think one person who's going to be really disappointed right now is Aladdin. And as we say that Shubham Das is very close to Arora. Is he going to send one into the hairpin? Oh, as we can see,
slipstream couldn't get one done though.
Yep. Arora was, I think, quite cheeky there with the way he was behaving under brakes. I don't think SD would be too happy with that. Akbar Kumar and Sidhu seems to be slowly tailing off the second pack, but further ahead we have Amit Kuti and W Singh really fighting at the front. As we have a spin over there.
I think that was Violent Gandhi. Oh, no, it was
that's Malakala who had a spin. I'm not sure what happened, but let's go on the replay and figure out what happened. Yep, this is where the incident happened.
Oh, just lost it coming out of the hairpin.
I think he had contact, but let's have a look. Brakes quite defensively for that particular corner. Ooh, got on the marbles, and that basically sent his car into spin. And nearly took Deepak along with him in that incident. So I think Deepak would count himself lucky today.
These cars do handle differently to the GT3 cars, you know.
Yep. They do over-rotate quite a bit on entry. As we can see, WH Singh seems to have pulled a tiny bit of a lead this time around. As we can see, Shubham Das and Akbar Kumar has now joined this fray. Shubham Das goes really wide on exit over there. As you can see, Arora likes to open up the entry for the Mercedes Arena more, but while SD likes to hold a more tighter line for that corner.
The top 5 are separated by, top 8 are separated by just over 5 seconds. So any incident now and that entire top 6 could be shuffled up in an instant.
Yep. And more importantly, the tire wear is not going to be a factor here. Everyone can just push flat out as Mulakala has another spin at turn 1 over there.
Really seems to be struggling to get a handle on that
Yeah.
on this car without traction control. It is very different to the GT3 cars in that aspect.
Absolutely. And let's have a look right now. Shubham Das once again sticking on to the right behind that Porsche of Aurora right now. Meanwhile, further behind, everyone seems to be quite evenly paced. We can kind of split the whole grid into exactly three trains actually, and then few stragglers behind. That is quite interesting to see as we have Deepak, Davani, and A Singh right now. Right behind each other was Deepak gets on that curb, gets a. I must admit, I'm quite impressed by that. He got a very nice. He got very nice rotation of the entry of the Schumacher S with the way he took that curb.
Definitely has given him a little bit of an advantage. Couple of tenths now between him and the car behind.
Yep.
Brave stuff from Deepak there.
It would be interesting to see if he's able to close further in on Dvajin further ahead. But let's have a look. So we'll know as Dvajin crosses the line, as Dvajin does outbreak ever so slightly on the entry of the chicane. Now coming into the final corner, he just seems like he's not that confident, especially compared to the leaders. But further ahead, we can see that. Further ahead, we can see Shubham Das has gotten past Aurora. Let's see that move again.
A little bit sideways coming out of turn 1 there. I don't think a couple of drivers have completely got the handle on the car just yet.
Yep, looks like as Shubham Das goes for an audacious move as Aurora gets out of shape into the final corner, and Aurora leaves him all the space in the world. Aurora, I think, tried to go a bit wide there to get him back on the straight, but I think Shubham Das got a better exit nonetheless.
Did get a half decent exit out of the last corner, so had he been a little bit closer, maybe he would have had a chance to send one off the inside going into turn 1.
Yep, absolutely. Right now, I can see that it's kind of going ping pong right now. Kuti is not able to close in that quickly. I think he is making a couple of mistakes, but I think both of them are quite dead even matched right now.
Yeah, now we're starting to see that pack separate itself a little bit. Now is when that initial lap adrenaline dies down a little bit, and now we start to see the thinking coming into all the battles. It's not just a skirmish anymore, as we see Aurora and Das separated by just a couple of meters. They're getting very, very close to each other. A little too close for comfort, you could say, but yeah, definitely keeping the racing nice and clean. It's going to be all about clean racing in these cars, because more importantly than pace, it's going to be just trying to keep the car on the track. They're so different to the GT3 cars.
Absolutely. As we can see, Kapil Bharat has now closed on right behind Shrock right now. Shrock and Kapil seems to be evenly matched, but Kapil does seem to have a couple more tenths in his bag over there. But now coming back to the battle in question, Akbar Kumar has now closed on to this battle between Shubham Das and Aurora. I think he does have a little bit more pace than these guys, but I think he's just been a bit conservative, and Aurora is also slightly breaking off from Shubham Das ahead.
I see a gap now opening up between the top two and the rest of the pack right now. 5 seconds, although that gap is coming down as the front two drivers start squabbling. It allows the drivers to catch up, and Aurora spins, or I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he has lost a lot of track position. Has to be careful rejoining, and he rejoins in. Not entirely sure where he rejoined.
We will know once across the first sector line. Let's see. The game does update the standings on a sector basis, so we'll get to know as all the drivers ahead of him does cross the line. But I think he did fall back to behind Kapil Bharat over there.
So he's lost about 5 positions in that little endeavor onto the grass.
Yep, absolutely. And I think in that skirmish, Akbar did actually manage to get past Shubham Das as well. Not sure how that happened.
Ow.
But further behind, Amit Kuti has now caught back right behind Davlish Singh. He is really pushing that car right now. These two are not holding anything back as Davlish has a spin. What happened there?
I mean, from the way that we were looking at it, the camera angle didn't really insinuate any kind of contact between them. It just felt like Davlish ran a little too wide coming out of the Schumacher S and got all kinds of unstable. But then we'll have a look at the replay here.
Yep, absolutely. Now let's have a look here. Now coming out of the hairpin, right behind Amit. Was there contact? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Coming into the Schumacher S, he goes really wide, gets on the marble, on rejoining. Was there contact? I'm not really sure.
Well, he unsettled his car massively, and maybe he was a little bit still out of control rejoining the track, but maybe if it wasn't for the little tap from Amit Kuti right at the exit of the Schumacher race, there was scope there to control the car again. But you know, I think this is written off as a racing incident there.
Oh, yeah, he did lose the car over there, getting off the track. His car did get unstable, and that means now Dhaval Singh is going to fall further back.
Oh wow, he's dropped back quite. Actually, no, not that far. He has dropped back down to
looks like it.
11.
He looks like he left the session from the looks of it, because I think he got a lot of damage from that contact. As we see Akbar Kumar now take P2, he's pulling away from Shubham Das right now. Shubham Das, interestingly, 3 seconds of the pace, or maybe Shubham Das is now struggling a bit more with the characteristics of the car. Something I've heard a lot about the Porsche is that this is a car that loves over-rotating on exit. Oh,
I think that's because of the natural shock going into the barriers.
And that means Kapil will now take P5 and will now focus on chasing down Sidhu. So something I've heard is that because of the rear engine layout of the Porsche, it is a car that really over-rotates quite a lot on the entry, and that is actually its biggest strength. So what happens is a lot of drivers, when they start picking up the Porsche, they think that this car needs to have a really good setup. So what they do is they start making the car, they start putting more stiffer front on it, they start adding more rear wing on it, and what ends up happening is that the car will be a good car from a perspective of being being able to be in terms of handling, or like in terms of drivers being able to control it, but you're effectively making it a slow car. So you're taking away its strength from it.
Yeah, it's like trying to suppress your main attribute. It's not really going to work in your favor, but that is one of the characteristics of the Porsche, and it's not really very helpful when in the Cup car you don't really have traction control either. We noticed that kind of oversteering tendency in the GT3 car as well, but the presence of traction control maybe is sort of like a band-aid. It helps drivers out a little bit, helps in maybe keeping control of the car. As we do see a driver getting sideways, I think that was Shubham Das.
He's fall back, and Sidhu now moves into P3. Shubham Das gets another, nearly, so I think, swiped off Kapil Bharat over there. Kapil Bharat is now going to move into P4, and is now looking very ripe for podium contention here.
It's going to be a drag race down to turn 1. Will SD send one up the inside? No, chooses against it. Wise move there. I think in the heat of the moment, it would have been very unwise to make a move out of haste, maybe. But now this battle for P3 is hotting up right now, as all 3 drivers are separated by less than half a second. But this does mean that the top 2 are now running away with the race.
Yep, absolutely. Actually, I would say Amit is running away with the race, as Akbar seems to be falling back a little bit. And I think the last lap, but the last lap is not starts off nearly a second off, but I would say it's not too bad.
Doing 158s and doing the high 150s is going to be a good lap time in these cars.
Looks like both Mit and Dhaval were really able to use the peak of their tire to really capitalize on it, as Shubham Das does now get really close to Kapil. Got too close to him for comfort, and I think Shubham Das had to back off a tiny bit over there. Right now, I would say both of them need to work together right now to get to that P3, because if they're squabbled right now, Sidhu is going to be the winner over here. As Kapil does go on the gravel over there, who's going to lose a bit of speed? Is Shubham Das going to send it on the inside? No, decides thinks better of it.
Him to close up right on Kapil's diffuser, but it's not enough to get past, unfortunately. I think that's going to be a major area of contention, the Schumacher race, because it really requires full determination, full send from all drivers. So it's going to be an area where the truly brave are going to be separated from the fairly conservative.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, 6/10 between Kapil and Shubham Das over there. Kapil really attacking that curve over there.
A lot of people in the chat asking where Aladdin is. Unfortunately, he picked up a drive-through earlier on in the race, and I think he has dropped out of the session now. So yeah, that is.
He should be. I think he will be returning for the next race. That will be a 30-minute race. I think he will be returning for that. As we can see, Shubham Das going to send one on the inside of Kapil. He breaks late, but Kapil breaks even later and keeps that position.
Great racing there, but right now they're both kind of licking their lips, because they seem to be carrying the pace, but they seem to have the car over there right in front of them. So it's going to be interesting.
Yep, I love seeing this particular corner. You could see all 3 cars take 3 different lines through that particular corner. As Shubham Das once again gets, he's not going to be happy about that. I'm not sure if you can see it on stream, but you can actually see this entire section of the track is laden with marbles. And if you get on the wrong side of the patch of the track, you're going to get massive amount of wheel spin.
I think this game does very well in stimulating the effect of taking the wrong line through a corner as well. So
Yep.
if you get it wrong, you get it massively wrong.
Yep. One particular example is if you remember the Bathurst in turn 4, when the track is optimum and you had a lot of running through that particular track, you literally have only one line. If you go slightly offline, you're going to get on those marbles and you're going to spin out. And at Bathurst,
Turn 4 being the hairpin that leads onto the mountain, doesn't it?
Yep.
The left hand. Yeah.
And over there, spinning out it means definite contact with the wall.
Oh, and that's, in Bathurst the margins are so small anyway, so.
Yep. As we can see, Akbar Kumar getting past the back marker of Abidi over there. Abidi seems to be having a lot of damage. Looks like he hasn't had a good race so far. Ooh, goes wide.
That's not going to help his case either.
Yep. Sidhu further ahead. Looks like this battle behind is helping Kapil Sidhu quite a lot. SD really putting that pressure on Kapil right now, and he's not able to get past Sidhu. Oh, but Sidhu did have a bad contact. They do seem to be in range right now. I think we have around 2 laps to go, maybe 1 lap, maybe 2 laps to go, I think, for the race to end. But let's have a look.
Assuming a 2-minute lap time, we should be seeing.
Oh, and we have a. Not going to be happy about that.
Yeah, definitely not. Just got pushed out. As someone is stationary in the middle of the track. I don't know if that's lag or what's happening there, but
I think he had a spin. He did have significant damage. He wouldn't be having any control on the track on the car right now. Let's review that incident once again. Since I think Shubham Das, Abidi has massive damage over there. He should return to garage right now.
That car is not looking happy right now.
Yep. Kapil right now trying to come back on SD over there. That was a very interesting move. I think Kapil tried to close the door over there, but I think SD tried to barge his way. But that did seem like a punt to pass moment.
I think it's a push and shove kind of game in these cars, and I think the drivers will be a little bit enthused by the rough housing that's going on right now.
Yep. Let's have a look. If we can see that incident once again. As you can see, SD side by side with him coming into turn 1. But I think Kapil had a bit better straight line speed. Goes back to the slipstream, brakes.
Brake at roughly the same time. Yeah, it does seem like Kapil.
But it does seem like I personally believe. Oh my God! As we see, I'm not sure what really happened there, but it does seem like SD did outbrake himself also a tiny bit. At least for me.
Well, Sidhu might have picked up a bit of damage there in a collision with BD in last place.
Yep, absolutely. Right now, let's have a look.
Make much of a difference though, because I think with the battle going on behind him, P3 I think should be his, because Kapil won't let SD Shubham Das have the last laugh in this battle just yet.
Yeah.
Should have just.
But if you notice, Kapil has also picked up quite a bit of damage right there. You can see Kapil is visibly losing out on the straight.
He's allowing SD to close in a little bit on Uday Sidhu ahead of him.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's a social race, and unfortunately, there are penalties. But I do believe that this race could have ended a bit differently without that incident, as SD does get quite a bit sideways through that corner, through the Mercedes arena.
I think one thing that you do notice with social races is that because of that lack of consequence, you see drivers doing moves that they wouldn't normally do. Would you say that's the?
Yeah, I would say that to some extent. But personally, as a driver, I wouldn't really do that, because at the end of the day, you are racing with them, and there will be consequences outside the race. As Aurora does now get ahead of Vajin and does go to P6. I think with a few minutes to go, let's have a look at that race, and let's have a look at Aurora getting that move done. Well, I think Vajin had a moment, and that's how we got it. Never mind. Yep.
Leaders on final lap.
Yeah, we can hear Amit Kuti has now entered the final lap of the race. But further behind,
choose to wait at the line for 30 seconds, and I think he'll still take the race victory. Quite considerably ahead of Akbar Kumar right now.
I'm not sure, but I think Sidhu has had a moment and has fallen behind. No, he is ahead. Oh, no, he is behind. Yep, looks like Sidhu has fallen behind. Ooh, he has a moment there. Is he going to get overtaken by both Kapil Arora? Oh, yep, Sidhu has lost P3, and that means Kapil Bharat now moves into P3 over there. What happened there? Looks like after the race, we'll be reviewing. As we can see, Amit Koti has finished the race, and that means Kapil gets P3. We'll have to go back into the replay and review what exactly happened there.
I'm not quite sure what happened on the last lap there. Last lap drama, as it always is. Celebratory weave there from Kapil. I think he made up a lot of good positions. So solid race from him in race 1 so far.
Yep, and he will. That doesn't mean he will be starting P3 now. Virgin crossing the line just behind Aurora. Aurora, who did have that spin, still recovers well to finish P5. Acing, commonly known as Helium in the server, is running P8. He did have a moment in turn 1, so it's good to see him recover to P8. Acing crossing the line, quite far back from Shock, but given the spin he had, pretty good. Wyron Gandhi now crossing the line. Picked up quite a lot of damage, if I must say.
And I think it'll be Richie Gyan, also known as Baba, who will be rounding out the top 10.
Yep, Baba surprisingly off the pace. I would consider him to be on the pace with a lot of the guys ahead, but he seems to be struggling a bit more than what we usually see.
Also Deepak outside the top 10, which is surprising as well.
Yeah, I think he had a couple of incidents. Yeah, he did.
One of the veterans in ACC, so
as we can see,
I think this would be a good opportunity for you to review how the second race is going to be.
Yeah, so we're going to restart the server in a couple of minutes. Give me a sec, guys. Let's go back onto the still. So we're going to be restarting the server, and then we will be. It'll be a 30-minute race. The finishing order of this race will be the that's going to be the start. The finishing order of this race will be the starting order of the next race. So we're gonna like take the server down in a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna have basically have everyone like rejoin the server, and we'll go on to the race. Just waiting for some of the drivers to finish the race. Should take a couple of minutes. Let's have a look.
If you have been watching the race in the chat, do let us know your predictions for race 2 as well. And what did you think of race 1? Definitely some interesting overtaking, interesting action there. Yep. Some ups and downs, and we should see some of the drivers who dropped out during race 1 should rejoin for race 2 and look to make a better impression than they themselves would have thought so in race 1.
Yep. Let's have a look. We're still waiting for a couple of more guys to finish the race. I think it should take a couple of minutes for us to like. We need to get the result from the first race, of course, and that's going to take some time.
Yo, what's up, guys?
What's up? How was your race? You seem to have made quite a lot of positions from the.
Opportunistic yep. Me, you know me.
Yep. We're just waiting for the race to end so that we can set up the server for the second race.
Just like opportunistic you, everyone was very opportunistic.
No, I'm not sure. There's a guy Abidi who doesn't seem to have finished his race yet.
Is that so?
Yes.
He's in the pits. So
we need, we need to get the what do you call the result, Jason, which we have not gotten yet, unfortunately.
Yay!
Yes, very nice.
And is appropriately named virus as well. Yadi virus.
Yep. Stay in the server. We will eventually get the result screen.
Okay.
Yep. Just gotta wait for it to throw out.
How's the Cup car been so far, Kapil?
It's so awkward to drive. There are points where you have understeer, it simply won't turn unless you kind of point it in the right direction. The streamer crashes, and everywhere else is like oversteer. So it's so difficult. It's challenging. It's a challenging car, no doubt about that.
You and Shubham
like many people off guard.
You and Shubham Das were constantly exchanging positions at the last corner. It seemed like that was a major sideways spot for both of you.
Right.
Yeah, that's because he made a mistake. He's at least 2 seconds a lap faster than me. He's actually, I think, put practice in this, or at least he's in form. but just the amount of practice he put in another car is kind of hindering him here, because he kind of got some bit of muscle memory kind of built up for his endurance race, and he's going on the throttle too early, he's braking too late, he's doing all sorts of nonsensical stuff that you would typically not do in a Porsche Cup car, and he's spun
Wait,
out and lost a lot of position as a result of it.
something I've heard a lot of people say is that people who drive Porsches either drive Porsches all the time and generally don't drive other cars. It's something
Yeah,
I've heard.
because it does require such a unique driving style. It's not similar to any other car in the game.
Yep, absolutely. All right, looks like we got the result. Now we just need to like set it up. Should not be much time. Let's have a look.
You'll be on the front row for race 2. Mega send into turn 1, perhaps?
Me?
He will be the
I'm not
he
going
will
to
be in the
send. I'm going
second.
to get sent to the Shadow Realm in turn 1.
Right.
Ah,
Looks like we should be having the server up any second.
It's a reverse grid, huh?
No, we're going the same grid, but we can technically now, since we have the server in place, we can perhaps think about a reverse grid for when the main league starts. Since right now we're still experimenting. It's going to be interesting. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yep. Hold on us, folks. We're just going to get the server back up and running in any second.
So Davlish had a power cut. Myth stopped at the line just so that we didn't have to do another lap.
Davlish spun.
He spun and then he got power cut as well.
I believe Aladdin had a Windows update notification pop up.
Lol.
30, alright.
All the way get screwed over. That is one of the most unique.
Alright, we should.
One thing that was missed on stream was in the last lap, SD was hunting down Sidhu in the hairpin and he kind of slammed him off. Both of them went into
Oh
the
my god. Yeah, I thought what happened to Sidhu over there. That's kind of weird. Yeah, alright. Looks like we should be up. Alright, server should be up in just any minute now. Yep, server is up. Let's have a look.
That was Kapil Bharat joining us in the commentary box there briefly, walking us through his race. Should have the server up anytime soon, so we can have everyone rejoining.
Yep. Let me put that up.
Again, we do emphasize that you drop your predictions in the chat.
Yep, hopefully they didn't get bored with that tiny delay and leave the server, but let's see.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. The racing isn't done just yet. We are not over. We are briefly swapping over servers in between the two races so that we can retain the finishing order from race 1 for race 2. So that's what's currently happening.
So the interesting thing, we don't really know if we're going to have everyone. So it's kind of unfortunate. We're not really sure, that if when we go onto the race, if we're going to get the grid order. Hopefully we do get the grid order, but let's see.
Well, if we don't get the grid order, it's going to be more unpredictable carnage as always.
Yep.
So I think when it comes to social races, we don't really. It's not really a priority. It's just about having fun. It's about
Yep. Essentially, these two races have been a test for our systems to figure out what is exactly the right way to execute the system when we finally start with the main league.
I believe the race format for season 3 of ACC, starting soon, by the way, will be the same as what it's basically basically a reshuffle of what we've seen today in many ways. It's basically this,
it's actually exactly the same format.
Oh, there you go.
So we are not, so I have seen other leagues do it. So a lot of leagues. So this is what we thought was best. The other option that a lot of other leagues have opted for is to have like drivers have to basically on the grid has to like manually like figure out their position. So they basically have a warm-up lap, and they also have a GT4 car or the safety car. That's how they do it. But we personally felt that wasn't a viable solution for us. So this is what we have opted on. Let's see how it pays off. If it pays off, great.
I mean, if you need a GT4 pace car, let me know because I'm pretty much on the pace of the GT4 cars anyway. It's going to be interesting season 3 of ACC. I think we should have a record number of sign-ups this time around, so we should have a lot of involvement in the season. It's going to be interesting. It's going to
Alright.
be fun.
Okay. I think we should be starting at in around a couple of minutes.
Then. Good to hear.
Yep. All right. I can see people are right now entering the server. We're waiting for them to enter the server. We have right now 12 people in. After that, we
Hopefully
should be
get
starting
all
the
of
race.
them. Hopefully we do get all the drivers in.
Yep,
It would be unfortunate
absolutely.
to lose them.
Let me just move on to the race in the meantime. You can see that we have 12 people in the server right now. A couple of guys have opted to, from the looks of it, as a BT once again, do it on the exit.
I think this brief period of free practice is going to be very important for Abidi because he's not had a very good time in race 1 so far.
Yep, Rocker also getting quite out of shape over there.
How easy is it to drift on this game? It's not one of the main priorities on ACC.
So to be honest, you shouldn't be able to drift with these cars because there is actually quite a lot of grip. You can slide it, but
I mean, beyond a certain point, obviously physics takes over, but because of the slick size, it's going to be quite a considerable point, and beyond that, you know.
To be honest, you cannot drift on these cars because that is the nature of the tires. Yep. Yeah. So we have Amber Kumar on the chat asking why stop. So Amber, we had a server restart, which set the grid for the next race. We have set the grid. Hopefully, it does work properly this time. We're going to restart the server. Let's see how it goes.
Hopefully, you won't have to wait too much longer because we should be underway in just a second here as we get the remaining drivers in. I think we had 19 started last time. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yep. All right, half an hour to go. Let's have a look.
Is this a track that naturally suits the Porsche, the Nürburgring?
I don't know about the Cup car, but I do know that the GT3 Porsche, it's actually a very quick car over here. Basically, wherever like the Porsche excels in tracks where it's all about getting good corner exits. It has ridiculous traction out of corners. It has a lot of low-end power. It loses a bit at the top end, but it's very good. So in Nürburgring, you don't really have a long straight. Like the only straight you have is not really a big problem. With the Porsche, because it can gain time pretty much every other corner.
Also, I believe I'm right in saying that the Porsche, both Cup car and GT3, are one of the few cars that are naturally aspirated. I mean, if you look at GT4, you have the Camaro and some other ones as well. But in GT3, the Porsche is the only naturally aspirated car, to my knowledge.
Yep, it is. No, actually, the Porsche is naturally aspirated. The Audi and Lambo are also naturally aspirated.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think the Jag is also naturally aspirated, if I'm not wrong.
Oh yeah, true. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and of course the Aston Martin V12.
Beautiful, naturally aspirated.
Probably I'm not sure, but I think the rotor engineering is also naturally aspirated. But
I think he uses the Gallardo's engine, so yeah, it is naturally aspirated.
Yep. People are really using
drivers out there.
Yeah, people are using this time to get more comfortable with the car. Really trying to make the most of this time. Yep. Helium, we have already started the server for the race, so I see you're in. We're going to be starting the race in a couple of minutes. I think Helium is going to be starting P8. He did have that spin, so it's pretty good that he did climb back up after his initial spin into turn 1.
Good race from him.
Yep, absolutely.
I think some of the drivers have put in a lot of practice for this race, and some of the drivers have put in fairly.
It's always an interesting characteristics because a lot of people, we can see we're forwarding to the next session as we can. Oh, it looks like the grid did work, which is good to know. And interesting to point to note, the people who did lead the race, like who were on pole, Davlish Singh and Amit Kuti, have dropped out. They did have a power cut, so looks like because of that they have decided to opt out of the race. And in the meantime, it's going to be an interesting scrap between the guys behind. Shubham Das also has a power cut and has dropped back. So I think a lot of guys
think
are
this will
going.
give a chance to the guys who didn't quite have the spotlight on them in the first race to
Yep.
really shine in the second race.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go into broadcasting view. We have a long wait. I never realized how long this wait was.
5 minutes. I think that's adjustable. No, I think you can
That is
change
adjustable.
that.
We keep forgetting it. We had to change it, and we just keep forgetting to put it, change it basically.
It's all right. We can see all the levitation.
I need the various back on. Give me a sec. Excellent, is you here?
Yes, sir, I am.
Yep. Let me just turn it back on.
Like technical hiccup there.
Yep. It was really weird. My whole PC just crashed there for a second.
Well, that makes him more human, I guess.
Yep. Let's have a look. I don't think the race has started yet. Hopefully, we did make it.
In a way, the 5-minute waiting period worked out in our favor.
Yep. Looks like it's the games we have. It's a world's way of telling us why you should keep the 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's fate constantly reminding us.
Yep. Looks like we're back in, folks. Thanks for waiting.
And in a way, we've cut down your waiting time by 4 minutes. Well, not quite, but you know.
Yep, absolutely.
Also interesting to note that Davane and Baba's liveries are exactly inverse of each other. The blue and black are reverse, I think.
Well, you're absolutely right. I didn't notice that earlier. I think we are running a bit low on the graphics. Let me get that back in.
That's a glitch in the matrix.
Let me just get a graphics backup. As you can see, a little bit of lack of resolution in some places. Or I'm not sure. As my game seems to have decided to revert everyone's liveries to 480p. For whatever reason. Oh, now it's back.
We're back in YouTube 2011 days.
Yeah, it looks like.
Don't worry, it's not your stream going wrong, it's deliveries going wrong for us.
It looks like we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the wait time is down. As he said, we did say couple Bardhan start in the second row, but now he's on the front row. Is he going? He was there in chat. Is he going to send it into the chicane, into the first corner? What do you think?
Well, yeah, he's not really that kind of guy. We've talked previously about how he likes to just sit behind a faster driver and mirror their driving style. And I think even rocking the same livery as the driver in P1, I think that's what we're going to be seeing.
Let's see what he does.
Oh, wow. Geez, a lot of drivers getting very, very touch tight there.
Yep.
The standard cup car livery is very interesting because from a distance it makes it look like a hatchback.
I do agree with that. Now let's have a look what the drivers are going to be doing into the race start. Couple interestingly.
Yep, right on his diffuser there as we do go green. Heading down to turn 1, it's going to be 3 wide at the braking zone, seems like, as it's currently going. Couple blocking up the inside line from the drivers behind him. Akbar Kumar goes very wide into turn 1, almost giving couple a free run at P1, and there he goes, right on through. It's almost like the door was left open. But Akbar Kumar is charging right back at him. Couple of drivers being backed up into each other just behind, coming through the Mercedes-Benz arena. Now turn 3, Kapil still retaining the lead there. Do not pay any attention to the timing tree. That will automatically correct for the grid order after the first lap, I believe. Oh, a couple of drivers running wide there on the exit of turn 4. As we have a couple of drivers spinning out. I believe that's S. Davane picking up a drive-through penalty. Aladdin still in last place? I don't think so. We should have an updated grid order in a little while. Everyone making it through fairly tightly. They're pretty uneventful. We have a car number 22. Yep, that's the
That's
that's
the
the
one.
title.
I think he got a drive through, and then I think he did hit a back of one of the cars ahead. I could see Abidi also had a bit of damage, and as you guessed, right, Aladdin wasn't last. He has made up 2 positions at the start there. I think Akbar took it really conservatively. I think he knew that he with the space he'll be able to easily get past Kapil there, and I think Kapil decided to take a challenge this time around and decided to just send it on the car ahead of him.
I think any driver would have gone for that because it didn't really seem like Akbar was defending his position as aggressively. He just kind of went wide, hoping that maybe a couple of misjudges his braking or runs a little too deep or just doesn't carry enough pace through turn one.
Both Aditya Singh and the Vijin right now has gained a couple of places. As we can see, Aditya Singh has now gone ahead of Aurora as Aurora goes really wide and gets on the gravel there.
Abidi has made up a couple of positions up into the points now. Not really points, but up into the top 10. And I believe Luchigian has also made it up into made up a position. I believe that's because of the Vane dropping a bit further back.
Let's have a look. Is Aladdin going to be fancying a move on the inside of Abidi for into turn one? He seems really close. And
69 car moves to the inside. Ooh, man, very close there, but fairly routine move. Ooh, they bump wheels.
Interestingly, Aladdin was very slow on that exit over there.
I think it's because he got very close and he reduced the angle of the corner, made it very narrow for himself. And then if you give it too much throttle and too much rotation, then obviously you exceed the slip angle of the tires.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Aladdin has now fallen behind the pack ahead of him, and he's going to be. He now has a bit of catching up to do, basically.
He's definitely one of those guys that has been hard at work, perfecting his setup, perfecting his race pace. So it should be interesting to see where he finishes overall.
Sidhu, who was denied of that P3, I think Kapil did mention he had a collision with Shubham Das last day, so he's going to be looking forward to make better of it this time.
Won't really have a chance to get that sweet revenge on Shubham Das. Maybe not in the same way that Shubham Das overtook him in the previous race, but you know, SD not being in the race this time around will make it a little bit easier for him. I mean, he's currently in the podium places already. So.
Dwajin's hitting at quite a good pace. He is a driver who has driven the Porsche before, so he could be in for a good result here. Akbar Kumar right now really close to Kapil. He could be in for the move this time. He could be ahead next time he crosses this corner once again. Kapil going a bit wide in the last corner. Akbar should get the better exit over here. Let's have a look. But let's not forget, Kapil did go wide, so he may have gotten a little bit better acceleration.
See how aggressively Kapil defends his position. Will he repay the same kind of generosity that Akbar Kumar showed him on the first lap? No, he won't. Chooses to close off the inside and moves to the outside, retains P1 going through turn 1, and Akbar has to now stay as close to him as possible through sector 1 as we see.
There was Deepak making a move on Helium there, but Helium getting a very nice cutback. Gonna try to go out really wide over there. I'm not sure who is who, but I think we know who is who now. Helium on the outside there, trying to get that corner, and he does seem to. He maintains that position. A very nice defense from Helium there to keep P6.
The inside line coming into the next corner, depending upon where he can make his braking, chooses not to go for it there. As we get a nice helmet's view of what Deepak Raj is looking at right now through the windshield of his Porsche. You can see just how tight the margins are, and following a car in this game is following a car in racing itself is an art. So it's interesting to see what goes through driver's eyes. He's following the car closely.
Let's go to the leaders once again. Akbar Kumar is ever so slightly closer. Seems like I don't think he was thinking for a move. I think he was just trying to put that pressure on Kapil over there.
If we compare their lap times, they're doing very similar lap times, so nothing much to separate these two drivers right now.
Yep, absolutely. I think they were setting similar lap times in the last race also. I think the main difference was, of course, Akbar starting further ahead was able to pull away in the initial part of the race. But Kapil is, of course, let's not forget, is fighting a defensive race here.
Yeah, he's going to be looking in his rearview mirrors for a lot of this race, just keeping an eye on where Akbar Kumar is and what he's trying to scheme behind him.
Oh, as Aladdin seems to be carrying the Pirelli board with him.
That is amazing. Wow, that is one strong board. Be using some mega adhesive there to stay on that long to Aladdin's car, but eventually.
Yeah, actually, I had this very interesting incident that once happened to me. Oh, SPC, oh, SPC Aurora go wide once again. Aurora really struggling with the Porsche right now. But Akbar
Aladdin makes
Kumar
up
is
an
even more close than he was last time out. I think there is something with this Belgian, the 24 of the Spa livery, because these two cars seems to be really close to each other right now. I feel like the Deepak, oh, as we see, Sidhu has spun and has left the session.
But that does mean that Duajin moves up to P3. A fantastic race from him so far.
Yep. Not sure what really happened to Sidhu there. Let's try to get a replay on that. Hopefully.
I think he lost it coming out of the chicane.
Oh, he does lose it. Seems like.
Or is that coming out of the Mercedes-Benz arena? I'm not quite sure. I think it was coming out.
That is always a very tricky corner to always get right. It's like I can't understate how tricky that corner is on traction.
You have to put two wheels on the inside curb, don't you, for the optimum line, and that unsettles the car a little bit.
Yep. Ooh, Akbar goes onto the grass. Kapil's gonna get a bit of breathing room here for the next straight. I think Akbar was planning to get past Kapil there perhaps, and kind of overcooked it over the Wassenaar curve there. Coming into the NGK chicane.
It's all about setting up the overtake. Maybe not in the chicane would have been the ideal spot. Maybe Akbar was looking to maybe set himself up well for turn one. Just runs a little bit wide there through the last corner. Advantage Kapil as the battle now stands.
As we see now, A Singh is actually pulling away from Deepak, and I can't overstate how impressive that is given he picked up the game a few weeks ago.
We're driving from him.
Yep.
A Singh is helium, right?
Yep, his name is Helium. Yep. Dwajin seems to be P3. Aurora just seems to be struggling to follow the green Porsche ahead of him.
Sure, Dwajin's experience in the Porsche, my apologies, is now shining through here. Seems to be holding off a veteran in Aurora as Aurora gets a little sideways coming out of the Mercedes-Benz arena. And this will allow A Singh Helium to now tag on to the back of Aurora as well.
Yep.
Just seems to be struggling, can't seem to get a handle on the car. We saw that in race 1 as well, and we're seeing more of that in race 2.
And Deepak is also ever so slightly falling onto the back of Shock over here. So Deepak seems to have suddenly gone from being on the offense, and he seems to now be fighting a defensive race now.
Do you think that the tires are more of an issue in the 30-minute? I don't think it should be.
It's not tires. I think it's just getting a handle on the car over here. Ooh, Aurora loses it on the Schumacher S again. He's not going to be happy about that.
I really thought he was going to be able to reel that back in. Didn't seem like the car was too far away, as in it didn't seem like he was too far out of control, but obviously wasn't able to recover it in time, and that will drop him back considerably. Lost 3-4 positions in that one corner. That's how tight the margins are right now.
Let's have a look. Akbar, I think this is the closest he's ever been to Kapil. Is he going to go for that send into turn 1?
Doesn't have a toe of his own, no drivers ahead of him. It's going to be now or never for Akbar Kumari. That's the best. He's the closest he's been coming into turn 1. Will he tend it down the inside? He does go for it. Kapil chooses the conventional wide line. Akbar chooses the narrow line, runs a little too deep, will retain the inside line. Coming into turn 2, still side by side, both drivers, identical liveries, identical intent, both going for P1, still side by side. Couple just dropping back a little bit, but will retain. Yep, very well executed there from Akbar Kumar. Just runs a little bit wide on the exit of the Mercedes arena, but that is very well executed from him to inherit the race lead. But Kapil is right back on him. This is not going to be easy for him now.
Yep, absolutely. But as we said, nothing now. Akbar, I think what Kapil has planned to gain the lead, wear down Akbar a bit by having Akbar follow Kapil, and perhaps now that Akbar is a bit worn down, I think Kapil will now try to copy his lines and try to stick with Akbar over here.
Definitely, definitely. You can see both just how slim the margins are between these two drivers in 1 and 2 as we look a little bit further down the grid here.
Yep. Ace Singh has caught up with the Virgin, so he could be on for a podium here.
It would be a fantastic result for him because there truly are some very experienced boys here, the IRC boys who have had a lot of experience with ACC, maybe not so with the Porsche Cup, but or the Porsche Cup car, I should say. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on Helium as he prepares for a P3.
It looks like Kapil has fallen a bit out of touch with Akbar over here. The gap is now 1.6. So based on what I can see is that Kapil is not losing out in the high-speed sections of the track, especially like the Schumacher S. That's where he's losing out to Akbar from the looks of it. As Akbar sets his personal best lap of 58.6, and Kapil's last lap was Kapil's last lap was 2.1, so perhaps he made a mistake in the last lap. Acing trying to get is now right on the gearbox with Virgin. I'm not sure what's up with Virgin. He seems to be really lacking a lot of pace right now. Is Acing going to send one on the inside there?
I think he made a mistake going through the chicane, Dwajin, but this has now compromised this run down to turn 1. Ooh, both drivers trying to outbrake themselves as much as possible, not trying to compromise their line, but Dwajin gets a little snap of oversteer coming out of turn 1. And for now, he's currently behind Helium. Acing now taking P3 and convincingly keeping a hold of P3 through the Mercedes arena. Brilliant driving there from the rookie, considering circumstances under which he's racing.
Absolutely. Shock has fallen away, and I think Shock now has Aurora to contend with. Aurora will be trying to get ahead of Shock here, but we have seen Aurora struggle for a bit of consistency on this car. Will you disconnect?
Not have enough time for what exactly?
Enough time to finish the race and go to
Unfortunate. So that means Virgin Singh is on for a P2 position here. I think the first race he's actually finished, and Virgin is on for P3 on for him. So I think these guys are going to be right now absolutely fighting it out.
Very sideways Dwajin coming through, was that out of the Schumacher S? Oh, no, never mind. It's not coming out of the chicane. It's coming out of the chicane.
Let's have a look. Dwajin, I think, has been struggling the NGK chicane for a little bit. So can he do better this time?
Just more time there. Lost maybe a tenth or two.
Random plastic on the racetrack.
I believe.
Yeah, I believe that was Aradin has the session too, so I'm not sure what happened to him. But he did drag a Pirelli board, I think, for an entire sector.
Has some very strong glue down there.
Yep. Okay, alright, right now we can see the Virgin still, he did lose time to Helium over there, but he does seem to be much better in this very tight and twisty first sector.
Definitely has the advantage. I think he's got more of a handle on that car's handling, no pun intended, but getting a little bit sideways there. He's having a 90% good lap and then manages to compromise it by making a mistake or two. That bright green Porsche seems to be really pretty consistent, as I think Acing does make a mistake. He has made a mistake, and Dwajin moves up into P2, and not only that, he's now Acing now has to defend his position further from Deepak, who is on the offensive, tries to sneak one up the inside, and ooh, misjudges his braking, runs wide at the hairpin.
I think at this point, a lot of people, a bit of wear is coming into their head. This race, of course, let's not forget, is longer than the first race we had, and that is kind of, I think drivers are starting to get more tired and a bit worn out.
Tell you what though, these cup cars do make for a more interesting race, taking nothing away from the GT3 cars, but these cup cars definitely are something of a spectacle. More of a challenge to drive, I think, as well.
Additionally, the sprint race format is bringing everyone closer together.
That too, and it gives some of the drivers some drivers who usually would have found themselves in the midfield a chance to fight for podiums as well, as we're seeing on display today. There seems to be a yellow flag. Car number 7, Richie Gyan Baba seems to have parked the car there and I think has left the session as well. So right now, regardless of what these drivers do, they will finish in the points because there are only 9 positions. 9 drivers currently on the track.
You can see Deepak is now fallen into the clutches of Aurora as well. Aurora, who will want to win today. He has had the pace, but he's just struggling a bit with that car right now.
Former teammates from the 12-hour Nürburgring Enduro that IRC participated in with 3 teams, and now they are being pitted up against each other. Very, very close margins there. These two went up against each other in the IRC Bathurst race from last season as well. Absolutely nail-biting racing from these two drivers, and we're seeing what the show that these two veterans are putting on for us right now.
You can see Aurora trying to get that better exit, turning in that a little bit later than Deepak, getting a good exit. Do we see? Are we going to see a send into the hairpin?
It would be audacious. It's definitely not something that would be uncalled for. Deepak will be a little more careful as Aurora again encountering, I think that time he hit the curb on the inside of the hairpin, not carrying enough speed, clipped the inside apex, and that unsettled.
I think the fact that this car doesn't have traction control is catching a lot of drivers off guard over here.
And yet we have so many people asking why we shouldn't run GT3 cars without traction control and ABS.
These cars are heavier, of course, let's not forget. They're not like Formula cars where they have the infinite grip to compensate without this. Over here, you really need to like, you are controlling a mass of nearly 1.5 tons.
And you also do have to consider that the aerodynamics of these cars is vastly different to open wheelers as well.
Yep, absolutely. Singh now closing onto the back of Dwaj, and I have to say Singh has shown very impressive pace and seems to have shrugged off our commentator score so far.
Let's keep a handle on that as well. As up front, Akbar Kumar seems to be running away with it. 24 seconds clear of P2 position, currently being fought for. Helium goes up against Dwajin for P2. It's going to be an interesting battle in these final stages. Both these drivers seem to be fairly well paced, fairly well balanced, I should say.
Yep. So they're getting on that curve, trying to get closer to. And you can see Aurora has now once again caught back onto the gearbox. Not caught up yet, but seems to be within striking distance of Deepak right now.
To be honest, in the case of the Porsche, it's not catching up to the gearbox, it's catching up to the engine, isn't it? Because the engine is further.
The gearbox is also located next to the engine. Because I think it's a transaxle mounted rear engine.
Ah, yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Yep. So you can see Deepak right now on the rear of Aurora on the rear of Deepak over here, and Ace Singh seems to have fallen a bit behind Dwajin through that final sector. Aurora getting on that curve on the exit of Schumacher.
As it stands right now, both P2 and P3 are up for contention, because if an event occurs between Dwajin and Helium and P3, then that potentially opens the door for these two drivers to join the fray in that battle as well.
Yep.
Obviously, this battle in itself is not resolved just yet, but we should see one driver triumphing over the other by the end of the race.
Yep, absolutely. I think Aurora right now, I think much closer, taking that wide line for the exit. Is he going to get the move done this time around, or is he going to like once again lose it on the exit once again?
This time he's got a better exit. Ooh, dips 2 wheels onto the grass. It's going to cost him a little bit of speed, a little bit of top end. He won't look. Will he look to send it up the inside? No, chooses against it. Deepak also defending his inside, moving a little bit over. Both drivers running a little wide, coming out of turn 1. Carrying good momentum into turn 2. Important not to overrun here, as Aurora just did there. Too many of those, and you get some track limit and warnings, and then a drive through. Oh, Aurora got a fantastic exit out of the Mercedes-Benz arena there, as two battles now heating up, very, very close to each other.
Even excluding what you mentioned, actually there's very little traction on the AstroTurf on the outside of, I believe that is turn 3. So drivers would really want to avoid that, given these cars don't have any traction control.
Yeah, definitely. Coming into the hairpin, this has been a place where many a driver has hit a snap of oversteer and unsettled their car. Oh, all of them. Tell you what, the pace that Deepak and Aurora are showcasing right now means that eventually the two drivers ahead of them are going to be backing themselves up into these two faster drivers, as Aurora does make another mistake coming through the Schumacher S. Just can't seem to get a handle on that corner, as Deepak now makes a mistake coming out of the left-hander. These two guys are
I think what is happening right now is basically Deepak is much slower than Aurora through the Schumacher S, and he's being very cautious about lifting off and getting a snap of lift off oversteer and perhaps careering into the wall. So I think that's making Aurora make mistakes, especially on the exit of corners.
What though, if these two battles do start popping off, we're going to see a train of about 4 cars forming very soon. We have only 7 minutes left in the race, so assuming 2 minutes a lap, we've got maybe 2 or 3 laps before we see the last stages of this race. So it's not now or never, but drivers should be thinking about their final overtakes. I think Deepak might have gone a little bit deep into turn 1. He has run very wide, and that allows Aurora to swoop into P4.
Yep. So that just blows the barrel to P2 wide open. As I think if Aurora can catch up to the drivers ahead, we can see his fast lap is second faster than what those guys have done ahead. Oh, we see Abhiti having a collision there. Ooh, that was very close over there.
I think red means amateur next to in the driver number, doesn't it?
Yep, it does. That was very scary, I must say, from the perspective of us commentators.
That was code brown moment for us. Just imagine what would have been going through the drivers' minds there as they saw a car the other way coming out of the Mercedes-Benz arena. I think it was intense.
Absolutely. But that has also now given a lot more breathing room with Jin and Helium over there. Helium has overtaken the P2.
Not quite sure where that happened. We may have to look at a replay and see where the two drivers did change positions. Gojin still has the lead here, still ahead of Helium coming through turn 4, seems like. Turn 5 now leading up to the hairpin, quick left right, and that's where Helium made his move, just slipped down the inside.
Yeah, but that's a very aggressive and committed braking from Helium there.
Is there food for thought in saying that Dwajin didn't quite defend his position, maybe come over to the inside?
He did leave the door open, but it's very rare for drivers to really try a move over there because of the cambered nature of that corner.
That is a fair point you've made there, but I mean it does showcase that Helium is bringing a lot of his experience from F1 over to ACC as well, and he's driven fantastically well coming down to the last 5 minutes, and it could be a wondrous drive for him if he finishes in P2.
Now coming over, Aurora seems to be. Oh, Aurora really, he seems to be on a knife edge. When he's quick, he is really quick, but when he's not, he's really struggling with that car.
Also, okay, interesting.
Okay.
Due to the lag there, I think Dwajin had a Harry Potter moment as his car started magically levitating into the sky. But I think, lag aside, he is still behind Helium.
I wonder if that's on replay, to be honest. Let's have a look.
Man, that gave me Harry Potter flashbacks. In Chamber of Secrets, when the blue car takes off from the railway tracks.
Let's see if that was on replay over there.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's overtake of the year. That's going on. We should make a clip of that. I think that needs to be done.
Singh gets all out of shape coming out of the. That was a Batsner curve. Dvajan will therefore have the better exit onto the NGK chicane. I like how all the I'm not sure how I feel about all the corners being branded here. You have the NGK chicane, which is of course references NGK spark plug. You have the Mercedes Arena. I'm not sure if Wozniak is a curve, is some company, but like there's a lot of branded spots in this track.
It's weird that track which is, I wouldn't say the Nürburgring is known for any particular manufacturer, but we see a lot of BMW branding on the main straight. We see Porsche, we see Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, the Germans have really taken over this track. Even Hockenheim is similar in this aspect.
I mean, the Germans have every right to take over the track, of course, with all their manufacturers. Would be odd with a Toyota branding there, as we do see at the Le Mans track. Toyota comes up a lot there as well. But we're coming down to the last couple of minutes of this race. Any battles were yet to happen? I think this one's very sideways there from Dvajan. Tell you what, the Aurora's right on that, right on their rear, right behind them.
Yep.
Whereas Deepak, he has dropped back a little bit, 7 seconds off Aurora right now.
I think a lot of these drivers would be feeling very happy to go back to the cars they usually drive after these two events where they have had to drive with cars that are a bit tricky to handle. Let's put it that way.
I think definitely Aurora and Deepak are going to be very happy because they go back to their lovely front-engine Aston Martins with traction control mainly. I think even if these cars had traction control, they would have fared off a little bit better. But it's the combination of the different engine layout and the lack of traction control which has caught some of these guys off.
Yep.
All things.
Let's have a look. Aurora has also closed up with Dvajan. I think with the gap to I think we're gonna have one more lap of racing based on the gap to Akbar Kumar over here. Let's have a look now. Aurora really close with Dvajan right now. Singh seems to have had a moment on the Vascular curve. Dvajan is really close to him right now. Ooh, this is going to be spicy.
See, it's sponsored by NGK Chicane as all the drivers go wide there. This is going to be very interesting on the last lap. It's going to be who triumphs, a 3-car train coming down the main straight. Akbar Kumar is the race winner, but right now P2 is up for grabs. Dvajan has to defend himself from Aurora. Veteran versus veteran. As Dvajan goes down to turn 1, covers the inside in the usual manner, stays very narrow. Going to be all about the exit there, as I think there was a little bit of contact between Dvajan and Helium coming out of turn 1. The battle is still not over. Do not leave the stream right now. You'll be making a cardinal sin. Through the Mercedes-Benz arena, all 3 drivers still separated by literally a hair's distance. Dvajan gets questionable exit, but even more so from a very sideways.
Yeah, I was going to kick him right now. He could have potentially had a setup. Oh, he loses it, and that will definitely move Aurora out of contention for P2 or P3 right there.
Digging himself into the gravel, and as a result, digging his hole of misery even deeper. Very, very on the fringes of the podium and then snatched away. Terrible shame, but it does mean that we will have 2 very, very respectable drivers who put in a fantastic drive. We have completely forgotten about Akbar Kumar. Is coming through the NGK chicane right now. He should finish in P1, but will Dvajan have one more opportunity now? Don't think he will. Both drivers still separated by a couple
Let's
of
see
seconds.
how many seconds left on the clock when Akbar crosses the line. Looks like we're gonna be having one more lap on the line, and Singh once again struggling on that corner. Dvajan is gonna get the better run on him through this.
Akbar being not so forgiving as Amit was in race 1, just waiting at the finish line, not extending the race. But now Akbar wants to really make Helium sweat for his second place here. He does make a mistake coming through the NGK chicane, and Dvajan will soar into P2. If this was the last lap, that would have been tragic for Helium, but he will now have one more lap. White flags are out, the last lap of the race. He does have the toe coming into turn 1. Maybe he pulls out a little bit too early out of the slipstream, but does come alongside, side by side, both drivers through turn 1. Brilliant overtake there from Helium. Dvajan did put up a fight, but not quite enough to hold back the Mercedes driver in F1 Tier 1 of IRC.
Very
Tell you
interesting.
what,
Yeah, very strange to see Dvejin not really put up a defense there. I think he miss. I think he must have like. To be honest, he could have defended that inside completely. Although that could have potentially exposed him around the outside. But I think given that circumstance, he could have considered a very aggressive defensive maneuver there.
I think it being the last lap, I think I think he was just a little bit more on the conservative side. I think he'd prefer to take a podium rather than no podium at all. There is that thought process, obviously, but you know, since it's a social race, what the hell? Just might as well stick it, park it on the inside, and hope for the best.
Yep, absolutely. Rhino coming to the Schumacher S. Both the drivers going a bit wide on that entry over there. Helium seems to have got a bad run. Dvejin a bit more pushing it on the exit. Coming into the Watsner curve. This is where Helium has really been
Finished the
struggling.
race.
As we can see, Akbar Kumar has finished the race and does take P1 for our second race, race 2 over here.
Dwajin has closed up a lot, as you mentioned, through the Watsnaker. He is now not right on the diffuser, but he is right there if Helium does make a mistake through the NGK chicane, as he did make in the previous lap. Doesn't this time, however, comes through the chicane pretty much unscathed through the last corner now. He's driven a fantastic race, and for a rookie, this is a valiant performance. It's going to be a drag race down to the finish line, not quite, as Helium finishes in P2, Dwajin in P3. Fantastic race from the two drivers. Aurora finishes in P4 after what he feels would have been a half-cooked final couple of laps. Deepak Raj also finishing in P5. Schrock will finish in P6, assuming nothing goes wrong between the NGK chicane and the finish line, which he has taken valiantly well. Abidi finishes in P8 after finishing last in the previous race. And Davani finishes in P8. I believe he crossed the line as a back marker. So
very interesting battle going Schrock and Rocker here. I think they do race in the same tier as well. They were racing for a short while, I think, in F1 too. So interesting to see the rivalry go around here as well. Let's
cut a lot there, just absolutely destroying the bollard coming through the chicane. But I think Schrock should finish in P5. Good result for him. And Rocker in, well, it should be P6, but there you go.
Yep.
P7 overall, my apologies. But yes, so that's your finishing order.
Ooh, that was a lot in one race, to be honest. So I think this does look very good for the next time for the next time when we run this format in the league. So definitely going to be quite interesting.
I think if we want the ultimate hell, we need to put the Porsche Cup cars at the Hungaroring. Ooh, that's gonna be saucy. I would be licking my lips at that race. Maybe not to drive, but maybe to commentate.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that should be everything from us today. The winner of race 1 was Amit Kutti, I believe, and the winner of race 2 was Akbar Kumar, after some of the drivers from race 1 were unable to make it to race 2 due to varying circumstances. But yeah, I had a jolly good time. I joined maybe a little bit late, but I had a very good time, Asu. What about you?
Same for me. Like it just seemed like the whole race was there was always action to captivate us, and I think that's always a good thing in racing.
Yeah,
especially the battle for P2 and P3 was, I think, one of the best races I've ever seen.
Yep, very close action. But yeah, I think that should be everything from us today. Do stay tuned for F1 Tier 1 tomorrow and Tier 2 and 3 on Sunday. And I believe we should have ACC Season 3 starting very soon as well.
Yep, it is going to start, I believe, on next Friday. That's the 18th of June. So it's going to be amazing, guys. So do tune in. I think special shout out to Davlish Singh and Amit for their racing in race 1, and of course that's not special mention to Kapil Bharat for also cutting through that field in race 1, and of course let's not forget the wonderful show put on by Arthya Singh, Dvejin, Aurora and Deepak in that race 2, and of course Kapil and Akbar, until Kapil had that unfortunate disconnect. All right, thanks you guys. We are signing off today. have a nice weekend, and of course, do tune in for our streams this weekend.